Today we have with us a very special person who I've known for many years as a data-driven leader in his field. Today he is VP of Engineering for Nimble, a successful tech startup. Before that, he was VP Engineering for Zesty, and before that, he was VP of R&D and Product at WalkMe, which was a very successful tech IPO company. Tsvika, really excited to have you here.
Same here. Really excited. Thank you for having me, Dior.
My pleasure. So, Tsvika, in your long career, right, you worked a lot with data in optimizing operations for teams in engineering and product. What would you say was your most impressive achievement?
What I'm mostly proud of is ability to scale. But when I say scale, I mean in both directions. So, for example, when I were at WalkMe, I had a team of roughly 80 engineers, and I scaled it up to 100 engineers in a year and a half. And scaling is great, but you need to do it correctly. It's very easy to succeed while you grow, but maybe something that is more challenging and I'm more proud of is do the other way around. When you are in a company that business is booming, but then something happened and company needs to pivot and you need to perform and do reduction in force and you need to scale your organization down. It might happen once or twice, but letting good people go um, while keeping the top talent in the organization, all together with building new products that will stabilize the company and will support new growth for the company, is a way more interesting challenge to deal with.
I think that's super interesting, right? Because people tend to not talk about it, right? They only talk about how great things are going, but it's really when you're really tested, it's where the shit hits the fan. I remember, for example, COVID. So COVID, we had to let like 80% of as Getakar at that time, we had to let 80% of the team go home on furlough and keep the 20% sort of engaged and motivated, and somehow keep the people who we let go in the loop, so they had motivation to come back again right after. You're right. That is where your leadership skills are really tested.
Yeah,
So thanks for bringing that up. Now the flip side, right? Where would you say you went wrong, or like did a mistake, as a leader or as a technical leader?
you were just talking about things that we don't usually talk about. Something that maybe give to the audience something to reflect on them, or because I think it happened to every manager, especially in the beginning or mid of their careers. But what I mostly regret of is that I kept toxic people for too long. So there are, you know, the reason you keep people like that is usually because they are super professional or highly technical or they deliver great. But with that, under the surface comes a price for the people who work with them. Because when they talk to you, they are amazing. Everything is super great. But under the surface, there are a lot of negativity and maybe culture of blaming and many examples of things that can happen. And instead of doing your work, you're dealing with bridging the gaps on those people acts. Maybe also you can take it to low performance. It's easier to keep them and say, no, we will improve, we will push them forward. But again, if you go and ask the team, if you ask the people how they are feeling about that, they see that people can stay in the organization without working hard, without keeping quality, and with the time, people will start saying, why should I work so hard when this guy worked? Uh, so
Right. And it's hard because sometimes, it takes time to build confidence and you don't actually have the data to know for sure if, or, even if you have a hunch, like how do you quantify it? Like, is somebody underperforming by 10% or by 70%? Right. So yeah, people are not happy, but what does it actually mean? How does that sort of right stack sort of, if it's a team of 10 people or 50 people, right, and they're underperforming versus another team, by 20%, what does that mean for the company?
what happened when one team leader measure this way and the other measure in a complete different way? So how do you
Yeah.
compare the people?
Okay. So can you tell us about a situation where you needed to make a decision and you needed the data to make the decision, that data was not available, and it could be tangentially related to the previous topic, but you needed the data, it wasn't there.
Yeah, you know what? I have a different example from that more of the business area, but I can give you an example of a time where we were shipping a new product, and while shipping a new product, you work with design partners. So the entire configuration and installation and all that happens directly in front of the R&D. And you meet the clients, you help them to install, to config, to integrate. And the product was great. Why? Because we had data. We had data for quality, we had data for usage, behavioral data, and everything showed that we got something good. And the design partners say great things, and the adoption went up. And this was time to start selling. And the R&D was a bit. We had other focuses to deal with, and sales organization took the lead and started selling the product. And after a quarter, we see that there are no sales, and we were wondering like, what happened. We asked sales, and sales say, hey, the product doesn't work, guys. It just doesn't work. And we're like showing them the matrix. It works great. How can you say that the product doesn't work? Look. And we met together and we thought what we can look at and measure to understand where the problem lays. And then we started to bring data about the onboarding process, the entire post sale, how the sales engineers are handling the integration and the setup, and how many meetings do you need to set up each product. And when we looked at that data, like immediately we realized something we haven't realized in an entire quarter, that the onboarding is super friction. The installation is super hard. So we invested another quarter in reducing the friction and ease the installation. One-click installation, easy onboarding, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, a quarter after, the onboarding went to, I think it was something from 2 months to around 3 weeks, 1 month. And so it was 50% reduction, and you start seeing sales because customers just reach the fact that they can use the product. So I learned from it that before you measure the product, measure the onboarding of the product, so you'll reach there.
It's a great point. Also, it's close to home. We also had a bunch of customers where we had some friction with the onboarding, and it makes a whole lot of difference. It's a really, really important point. What about like the other side of that equation, right? Like a situation where you said, well, you know what, I want to make a case here. I have an agenda, and you had the data to make your point and get your agenda across.
So I can tell an example from the time I was leading the product organization at WalkMe. And there was a VP product before me, and then he left the company, and the CEO come and say, "Hey, the VP engineering, you guys take the product leadership as well." And I was a freshman at product. I never managed products. I didn't knew how to do it, and I had around 10 product managers and directors, and they knew what to do. Okay, when I asked them, okay, we need to prepare the next quarter. What do you think we should do? So they knew what they want to do, and they knew that I'm kind of new. So they offered many things, and they had their data to back them up, and they had wonderful ideas. But one more thing that the CEO said is that he want to deal with churn this quarter, and I felt that their data is not enough. Like it's not. This will not move the KPI of churn. It won't reduce it. It's not exactly on the spot, and I didn't really know what to do. So I went to support, and when you analyze support data, we had like, I don't know, 1,600 tickets from the previous half a year. You can learn a lot of stuff. You can learn first by the way, about your engineering organization. You can learn a lot of things about hidden quality problems that your product holds. And while analyzing this data and show it to the product managers, it was finally seemed that we can prioritize. Like we can prioritize what relevant to churn, at least in terms of stability and feature that was asked that customer didn't get, and this is why they decided to leave. So having a data that you never looked at before always, help you to prioritize and move the needle in the KPIs you actually want to move.
It's a great move. Okay. I know you're very much, involved in AI, and you talk a lot about AI, and you're sort of, your hands are everywhere there. What's your take? Like what gets you most excited about what's happening today?
Wow. I think that, if you ask a CEO like half a year ago or a year ago, what his expectation about AI, he would say, I want at least my engineering, if not the entire company, to do 10x more. And I think we are in a time of, we already realize, like people who deal with AI and even companies have already like reduced a bit expectation. Okay, they realize that it's very hard to do a 10x, and engineers learned how to work with AI, and engineering managers learn how to adopt AI in the organization, because it's a hard process. Not everyone wants to adopt. If you adopt, you don't always use it correctly, and then people who use it like and get the new problems of bloated code and quality reduction and maintenance overhead, and then you add more agents to review the code and reduce the code and increase quality and increase documentation and create architecture. And so you can do all that, and eventually you reach, maybe sometime even 30% higher than what you were before using AI. But it's not the 10x that they were talking about in the beginning. But I actually do believe that we will reach there. I think that the hottest trend today is working with multiple agents in background. And like everything in large organization of large engineering organization, it seems like something that people don't happy to adopt. They are very suspicious about that. Usually, the more senior you are, the more suspicious towards AI you are. So I think that what we see now on those AI leaders that use, they have an army of 10 agents that work for them. This is something that we start seeing in R&D departments. I also like to allow people to use it and to experience with working with agents in the background. And so we start dealing with how to standardize this and how to how to make sure that this experiment doesn't blow up and in production. I believe that like the hottest trend and what we're going to see next in, I don't know, probably half a year from now, is that we will continue to see maybe a decrease in people and increase in agents working in the background. And we will see engineering departments start dealing with it and standardize it and have new standards for how to do it.
AI ops.
Yeah, AI ops.
Yeah. Cool. Last question for today. What would you say would be a secret sauce that you would recommend for VP of engineering to look into?
The secret sauce. You will always be asked to measure velocity of your organization. CEO like to understand what R&D velocity is. They have different reasons and different motivations. Sometimes they want to see that you ship many features very fast. Sometimes they want to see to learn about your organization seniority and how good are your engineers are, and maybe you need to improve it. But I think that the motivation is very important because they won't exactly say what really bothered them. But if you move to the business side and you see where are the real pains, what sales are telling the CEO, what support is telling the CEO, then you realize what he actually needs and what you should work on. So, for example, what I mentioned before, going to support and understand where it hurts to the customers and start measure it, or if they don't measure and you can use their data, so help them to bring this data on, maybe connected to maybe if you don't have the infrastructure, you can go to things like target board and do it more easier. And so if it's not support, then go to sales and ask them what their opinion about the R&D, whether it's predictability, like when the CEO say, I need your velocity, does he mean that predictability? They don't understand what they will get from the R&D, when, or maybe they mean to the fact that, I don't know, quality is low. And then you need, when we say velocity, we want to say we ship, but we have quality measurement and we do care about the quality. Quality is something that we need to improve. So always measure velocity, but understand the motivation behind it and see what you can connect, like what measurement you can connect to it that will justify the velocity that is actually needed.
So essentially aligning whatever you're tracking internally with the business objective. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it. So, Tsvika, thank you so much for coming in today. Guys, this has been our episode. If you enjoyed it, please follow, and we look forward to having you next time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Lior. Bye-bye.